Welcome back, guys. Thanks for joining me for another beer review. Right, it's Sunday night. It is, I'm not even sure what time it is. It's about 9:45. I've been on the beer all afternoon, let's be honest. I've had a few pints. I've just done a beer review and I was really disappointed with this beer. And that's pretty much, I said in that beer review that I might do another beer review, which would have been the beer that I'm about to review. But after having that beer that I've reviewed just now, that is making me want to do this one. And it's making me want to do it because I'm so disappointed with the beer that I've just reviewed. And I wasn't very kind on it, if I'm brutally honest. But I wasn't very kind on it because I don't think it is a very good beer. So I've definitely decided to go with the beer that I'm going to do now, because I want some comparison to it. I want to know whether Baz is just pissed and really disappointed, or whether that beer is really shit, and compare it to another supermarket beer. So, waffled on for how long so far? So we are looking at another supermarket beer, and this one was part of a 4 for 3, if I remember correctly, from Morrison's. And it's from Burnt Mill Brewery, and they're out of Suffolk. And we are taking a look at their Green Path Citra and Mosaic IPA, coming in at 6%. It's in a 440ml can, and if I remember rightly, it was part of a 4 for 3, but I think individually this was £3.50 tops, absolute tops. So if I'm wrong with that, the chances are it was £3 and not £3.50. But the beer that I've reviewed before was 5.6%, and that coming at £3. So if this is coming in at £3.50 at 6%, it's kind of matching the beer that I've just reviewed. If it's coming at £3 at 6%, it's looking slightly better value. But we need to see if it's any good. So there's the artwork. I do like that. If you look at it closely, I don't know how much you can see, but it's almost like a bit of a, a pathway thing, and the skyline and all that lot. It looks good anyway. So let's get it cracked open. Now, I don't have a Burnt Mill glass, so we're going to bang it in the old Revington glass. This one is nucleated, unlike the glass that I reviewed the last beer in. I think I've only had a couple of beers from Burnt Mill before. I'd have to check my YouTube channel to see what I've done from them. But we will see what we get from this. And ultimately, the review is about this beer. But it is maybe going to ask some questions for me about some supermarket IPAs. And are the supermarkets taking the piss? Are the breweries being tied by the supermarkets to produce any old shit, but put the price up and just try and rip off the consumer? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But I always remember when I first sort of started this channel, supermarket beers were sort of £3, £2.50, £3. And if you really got an expensive one, which was few and far between, you were looking £3.50. But they were really good beers. And now it seems to be that price range. The beers seem to be very substandard. So let's crack on with what we got here. So beer in a glass. It's looking very sort of amber looking for me. It's a hazy amber looking beer. It's a mix and match bubble, finger and a half of slightly off-white head. I know on the camera it's going to be looking pure white, but it's not pure white. There is a tinge to it. There's plenty of carbonation going up from the nucleated bottom. So, Citra and Mosaic IPA has surprised me a little bit with the colour. I would have expected it to look a little bit more colour-wise, maybe a little bit more fashionable, shall we say. It's looking a little bit more old school for me. But let's dive in on the nose and see what we get. Yeah, you get the hops, you get the citrus sort of notes in there. There's a little bit of maltiness. I mean, don't get me wrong, it don't smell bad, it really doesn't. And to be fair, on the beer that I reviewed before, which I'm just going to show you a sneak preview there, that didn't smell too bad. But hopefully this one is going to deliver a little bit more in the beer. Although saying that, I'm not completely convinced, but we're going to dive in on Burnt Mill Brewery's Green Path Citra and Mosaic IPA. So let's stop waffling, dive in. Cheers. Yeah, what is it? Body wise, again, similar to the beer that I just reviewed. It does feel quite light in body. It's got a traditional feel about it. It's quite malty, but it does feel quite light. It's smooth, light carbonation in there. So you do just get a light fizz across the palate, which is nice. It's very bitter. It's very bitter. Definitely got the feel of an old school traditional IPA, believe it or not. You know, you look at that and you think Citra Mosaic IPA. You expect it to be big on craft flavours. For me, it's got a big malty backbone to this. Definitely grapefruit in there. There's quite a strong bitterness in this beer. You get the citrus notes, sort of like orange mango thing going on. There's definitely grapefruit in there. There's definitely that big bitterness. It's got, like I say, it's got a big bitterness to it. And that might be something that turns people away. It's certainly not what I was expecting. That's for sure. I was expecting full-on craft, probably more juiciness, less maltiness. The bitterness probably sort of sits around where I was thinking it might be. I thought it might be quite bitter. Pardon me. But this beer has got a traditional feel about it. It's got, when I say this beer has a traditional feel, it's just, for me, most craft beers tend to be more juicy, more hop forward. This one is hoppy. It's got them juicy flavours, but it's got a big malty sort of like backbone, like I said, to it. Makes it a little bit more fuller in taste. And in body, really. And I've said for a long time that I think certainly sort of pale ales and lighter craft beers, I think I do prefer traditional pale ales and lighter beers because they're more malty, because they don't rely on the hop side of things, which is great, but sometimes you know, when you look at a 6% IPA, the hops and everything else should be carrying that forward. This seems to be relying on the malty side of things to carry it through. The 6% ABV I think you're getting that 6%. I'm not going to say it's ridiculously overpowering in alcohol taste, but it is there, and you know that is a little bit beefier. But I don't think they've got it perfectly balanced. I don't know, maybe it's just me tonight, I don't know. But I expected more from this beer, the same as I did the last one. So it could just be me, I don't know. Again, like the last beer, nothing... I mean, if you look at my review of the last beer, I'm probably going to be slating it, but nothing really nasty or wrong with it, but you just expect a little bit more. And I started a lot of these reviews up recently. I've done sort of like, I'm waffling on now, I know it. I'm waffling on a bit now, but I started doing a lot of supermarket stuff and doing cheaper beers. But I said I will continue to do perfect draft and do craft beers from supermarkets. Now we're getting into the point where we're paying £3, £3.50 for a supermarket craft beer, £4 even. Some are £5. And they're getting to the price range where you can actually go online and buy craft beers online that are going to be so much better. So although these sort of beers seem really good value, I don't think they're as good a value as you think. £3.50, £4 from a supermarket, £3.50, £3, whatever. When you're looking about £1 difference for a can, you can say, yeah, that's a lot more. That's a lot more, Baz, but you're really getting that in the difference of the taste of the beer. So for me, Burnt Mill Brewery, I'm going to stop waffling. I've got to stop waffling. We're 12 minutes in. Burnt Mill Brewery, Green Path Citra Mosaic IPA. A nice enough beer. £3, £3.50. Is it worth it? Personally, no. It's another substandard IPA for me. I mean, it does the job, but when you're warranting or trying to warrant £3, £3.50 for a beer, that beer's got to be good. It's got to be really good. Let's be honest. I mean, otherwise you may as well go online, spend £5 and be blown away by a beer. And if these £3.50 beers aren't going to sort of blow you away in the supermarket, I know they're working to a budget, but they're going to leave you a little bit flat and disappointed. So yeah, feel free to give it a go. It's got that little bit of old school in there, don't get me wrong. It's a big malty beer, old school craft, but again, maybe it's just me today, leaving me a little bit disappointed. So that's it for this beer review. If you've had it before, let me know what you think. Feel free to comment, like, share the video, subscribe to the channel. Thank you all for watching. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I'll see you again soon on another one. Cheers.